حي على الفلاح.
Imam in fiqh, who is a mujtahid, who is a leader, who is a slave of Allah Azza wa Jal, who is a zahid, who is a person who disattached himself from the world. In all of these facets, this man excelled and set a benchmark for the Muslimin. This person is a person who lived amongst Sahaba, who had family who were from the Sahaba, who lived amongst Tabi'een, who learned from the greatest scholars, who had in his advisory council the fuqaha of Medina, those who were regarded as the best jurists of Medina. And this person led the Muslims. This person became the leader of the believers, the leader of the mu'mineen. So much so that he is considered as one of the Khulafa al-Rashidin, the rightly guided Khalifa of Islam. And this person's name is Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, Ibn Marwan, Ibn al-Hakam, Ibn Abi al-As, Ibn Umayyad, Ibn Abd Shams, Ibn Abd Manaf. The father of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz was obviously Abd al-Aziz ibn Marwan, one of the best leaders of the Umayyad dynasty. He was made the governor of Egypt. He was never a Khalifa, meaning the central Khalifa of the Mu'mineen, but he was made the governor of Egypt in the year 65 after Hijri. Now this person, he had leadership qualities from the onset. From when he was young, he wanted to lead the Mu'mineen. And when he became older, he actually got that chance. Allah Azza wa Jal bestowed him with that chance. This was a person who obeyed Allah Azza wa Jal, who held on to piety, who held on to taqwa. And when the time came for Abd al-Aziz ibn Marwan, the father of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, to get married, he told his people that please take these 400 dinars and go to the family of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu and find me and get me married to this person named Layla, also known as Asim. Now Asim was the granddaughter of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu. She would only be given in marriage to a person who had upright character. And many of the Umayyad rulers, they did not have upright character. In fact, they had very lavish lifestyles. But this was a person of upright character. And this shows us the piety of the father of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, rahimahullah ta'ala. Let us look at the mother of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, Layla bint Asim ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu. Her mother, the mother of Layla, was a milkmaid, and she would prepare milk and sell it to people during the reign of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu. So one day, we're going around and checking on people. They came across this woman who was the mother of Layla and her mother. And her mother was telling her, mix some water with the milk. You can sell more milk and you will get more money. And Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu won't find out. Don't worry about it. He won't know better. So the mother of Layla, she said that even if Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu doesn't know, the Lord of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu surely knows what I'm doing. And she insisted that she won't mix any water with that milk. Having heard this, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu became very, very impressed. And Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu later on, he called for this woman. And when she came, he said that I want to marry my son to you, Asim. So this is how eventually they were married. Now the reason why I'm mentioning this is because we have to understand the role that a good upbringing plays in nurturing the leaders for tomorrow. If we want our children to be leaders, we have to be good parents. We have to be pious. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu had a dream that from his offspring there would be a person who would have a mark on his face, who would bring justice into this world as there was injustice and oppression before it. Many other Sahaba and many other people also had this same dream. So it became common knowledge that there would be a person from amongst the offspring of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu who would bring justice into this world. So everyone was on the lookout for who this person would be, who has a mark on his face and who is from the progeny of Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. So this person, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, this great man, he was born in 61. Now when he was young, when he went to the stables, he was hit by a horse on his face. And his father, Abd al-Aziz, he was cleaning the blood from the face of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz. And he said that if you get a mark on your face and you are the person whom Umar radiallahu anhu talked about, then this will be a very happy day for us. And it so happened that he in fact became that person who brought justice into this world. He was one of 10 siblings, and he had 12 or 14 children according to the different narrations. This person was a person who was moved very quickly by the words of Allah Azza wa Jal. One day in the house, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala was reciting from Surah Yunus, in which Allah Azza wa Jal says that whatever you do and whatever you recite from the Quran and whatever else you do in terms of actions, except we are witnesses on what you are doing. We are witnesses to what you are doing. And nothing is hidden from your Lord, even an atom's amount in the heavens or the earth, except it is written in the clear book by Allah Azza wa Jal. And when he recited these verses, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiallahu anhu started crying. When he started crying, his wife, Fatima bint Abdul Malik, she also started crying. When she started crying, Abdul Malik entered the house. And when he saw them both crying, he also started crying. And the rest of the occupants of the house also started crying. Everyone started crying. Once in the masjid, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiallahu anhu was giving a sermon. And he came to the verses and he recited these verses which talk about the terrors on the day of Qiyamah. And he recited verses from the start of Surah Al-Takwir. Now these verses talk about the terrors of the day of Qiyamah, when the sky will fall, when the sun will be woven and will lose its sunlight, when the mountains will remain mountains no more, when the sea will be full of flames. And Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz on the pulpit, he started crying. When he started crying, the rest of the audience, they started crying. And everyone was crying so much that the walls of the masjid started shaking. This was the piety of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz. Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiallahu anhu was such a person who lived amongst the Sahaba, who lived with Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, who was one of the closest Sahaba to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one who emulated the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam exactly. And he was one of the teachers of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz. Also, one of his teachers was Salih ibn Kisan, a very knowledgeable person. One of the incidents comes, he was so hard on discipline, he would make sure that all of his students, including Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, prayed with the congregation. So Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiallahu anhu, he was very regular with the congregational prayer. But one day, he missed one of the prayers. And later on, when Salih ibn Kisan inquired about why he missed prayers, he said he was combing his hair. Now Salih ibn Kisan, he sent a letter to his father, Abdul Aziz, who was stationed in Egypt. So Abdul Aziz, rahimahullah, he sent a delegation back to Medina. And he said that go to my son and shave his hair off. The importance of prayer. He had approximately 33 teachers. And out of which 8 were Sahaba, Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'een. He was also praised by Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala, Sufyan ibn Uyaynah, rahimahullah ta'ala, and they considered him an Imam. When Walid, the son of Abdul Malik, who was the uncle of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, when he became, the Khalifa of the Mu'mineen, Walid made him, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, the governor of Medina. Now, he took this governorship on 3 conditions. Number 1, that he would always deal with the truth and with justice. Number 2, that he be allowed to perform Hajj at the start of the year because he had not yet performed the Hajj, which was compulsory. And number 3, that he would be given permission to donate to the people of Medina. Now, the first thing that he did when he became the governor of Medina, he assembled together a shura, an advisory council, and it was comprised of the 10 best fuqaha of Medina. In other words, the 10 best ulama of Medina, the best of the best. This was his shura council. One of the sad incidents during his governorship was the incident of Khubayb ibn Abdullah ibn Zubayr. He narrated a hadith which was a fabricated or a weak hadith. Now, upon hearing this, Walid, he told Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz to punish this person. Now, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz did this, and he also poured cold water over him, and he was left out during the night, and he caught a cold, and he became very sick. And because of this sickness, he eventually passed away. This agitated Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz a lot. It really troubled him for a long, long time. Now, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiyallahu anhu was dismissed from this post of governorship. Now, there are either of 2 reasons given. Number 1, this incident of Khubayb, but the reason which many of the historians cite is that he had a problem with Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. Now, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf, he was a zalim, he was a tyrant, and he was the governor of Iraq. But Walid, who was the Khalifa, he admired Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. Obviously, he didn't like his oppression, but he upheld peace, he upheld control over the area which he had been given, which was Iraq. And therefore, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz was dismissed from his post. Now, when Walid ibn Abd al-Malik passed away, Sulaiman ibn Abd al-Malik, he became the Khalifa. And he was also the cousin of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiyallahu anhu. And he was very close to Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz. So he had an amount of piety in him as well. Now, when Sulaiman ibn Abd al-Malik rahimahullah passed away, he wrote in his will. Now, after this, either his brother or his children would become the next Khalifa. But he wanted Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz to be the next Khalifa because he saw leadership qualities, he saw piety, he saw all of these traits which would make him a Khalifa from amongst the Khulafa al-Rashidin. And so this is what he wrote in his will. Now, when this will was read in front of the people from the Umayyad family, they didn't accept it. We come in line first. So how did this person become Khalifa? Nevertheless, because it was the will of the previous Khalifa, this will was obviously upheld. And Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, he became the Khalifa of the Mu'mineen in the year 99 after Hijri. The first thing that he did was what? He made an advisory council, a shura, to advise him. And this consisted of pious people, scholars, fuqaha, who would not have an ulterior motive when they would be given that position. Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz asked Hasan al-Basri, rahimahullah ta'ala, who is one of the very famous tabi'in, about what makes a just and good ruler. Hasan al-Basri, rahimahullah, told Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz this: a just ruler and a good ruler is like a father who works hard for his young. And he teaches them when they get a little older, who writes to them whilst he's still alive, and he puts away for them after his death. A just ruler and a good ruler is like a mother who nurtures, feeds, has mercy, and bears reluctantly for her children. A just ruler is the guardian of the orphans, is a treasurer for the poor, over and above all, obeys Allah Azza wa Jal and calls people towards the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is the advice that he received from Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah ta'ala. Now when he became Khalifa, he discarded all of his worldly possessions. And he had a lot of possessions, by the way. He got it in inheritance from his father when his father passed away. He either sold it and put it into Baytul Mal. Even his house was very small. He was living like a poor person. You wouldn't think that he's the leader of the Muslimin. The things and the wealth that had been taken by the Umayyad dynasty and the rulers before him, he restored all of that back to their rightful owners. And if there were no rightful owners, then he put it in the Baytul Mal, the treasury of the Muslims. That means he went around to his family members who were from the royal family. He went to them and he said that you got this wrongfully, you got this unjustly, this is not rightfully yours. And he took it and he returned it to their rightful owners. He didn't just come on the mimbar and start ordering people to do justice. He lived justice, so that when the people saw him, they saw that our leader is a leader of justice. We also have to be just. This is what he is teaching us. He is setting the example for us. Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, he told his wife that when she had some jewelry which she had received in inheritance from her father, who was the uncle of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, meaning Abdul Malik. Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz told his wife that either you put that back in the Baytul Mal, this jewelry, which Abdul Malik wrongfully got by oppressing the people, or you separate from me. But his wife Fatima bint Abdul Malik was also a very pious and God-fearing person. And she said, I will gladly give it into the Baytul Mal. There were perks that came with the post which Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiyallahu anhu got. For example, he had a lot of horses, stables, perfumes, clothes, all of these things. But Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz said, I don't want any of it. All of this goes back into the Baytul Mal. This money is the money of the Muslims. It is not rightfully mine. I will be treated the same way as any other Muslim under me is treated. And the royal family will be treated exactly the same way as any other Muslim will be treated. This was the example set by Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiyallahu anhu. Now the Umayyads were unhappy and they said, we've got to do something about it. They sent the son of Al-Walid and he gave, a lecture to him, and he said that this money we have received from, our Khalifas and our forefathers and our fathers. It is rightfully ours and you are taking it away, you are doing an injustice and you are oppressing us, and so on and so forth. Now of course Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, he did not accept any of it, and he said that, what our forefathers did, that was wrong. That was unjust. And it is my responsibility that I restore justice. Then they tried another trick. They sent Fatima bint Marwan, who was the auntie of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz. And she was very well respected even by Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz. So when she came and she told him that, the Umayyad people, your family is very unhappy with you, with what you have done. So Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiyallahu anhu, you know what he did? He called for a coin, a dinar to be brought, a piece of iron to be brought, and a piece of meat to be brought. Now there was a fire. He threw the coin in the fire and he blew on it until it became red hot. Then after the iron was hot, he took it out and he placed the piece of meat on that piece of iron until it started sizzling and started giving off a sort of smell. Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiyallahu anhu told his auntie, do you want me to burn in hellfire like this? His auntie understood that, what he was saying was correct, completely correct. So she went back to the Umayyads and she said that, let him do what he wants because he is doing the right thing. Once when he was Khalifa, there was a person in Basra, which is in Iraq, and his land was taken away oppressively by one of the Khulafa before him. He went to the governor of Basra, whom Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz had appointed, and he said that I want, to get my right back. So he sent him to Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, who was in Medina. Now when he went there, he told him, and he gave him his proof or whatever was to be needed. And Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiallahu anhu, he said, you have your land back. It is rightfully yours. And then Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiallahu anhu said that you take a few more dirhams, approximately 50 to 60 dirhams more. Why? Because you traveled all the way from Iraq to here, this money will be returned to you as well. This was the justice of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz. He also dismissed unjust governors during his time of Khilafah. And he brought in people who he knew were pious. And he tested them before he posted them into those positions. Also, he restored injustices done towards the non-Muslims. Some of those injustices were, they stopped receiving old age pension. Some of those injustices were that their houses of worship were taken away from them unjustly and oppressively, even after they had a pact with the Muslim rulers. Also, many of the non-Muslims' lands were taken away unjustly by the Khalifas before him. And he returned all of those lands to those non-Muslims. And those non-Muslims received the same rights as the Muslims living in the Muslim empire. Exactly the same rights. He lifted unlawful taxes which were put upon the Muslims and the non-Muslims. Taxes like land taxes, taxes related to tijara. Now Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz took all of that out. And the only thing that he kept was the taxes that were imposed by Allah Azza wa Jal in the Quran, which was of course the zakah and the jizya. He also prohibited the prodding of the animals. Also Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiallahu anhu fixed the amount of load that could be carried on horses or camels. He fixed that. Why? Because he saw many people coming from Egypt with camels and they were overloaded. So much so that the camels could not bear it. He also spread freedom of religion, freedom of speech, as long as it was within the bounds of Islam, of course. Political freedom, how? When Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz was announced as the Khalifa through the will of who? Sulaiman, the Umayyad people, the people from his family, they were unhappy. So Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz said that I did not want this post, and I do not want to be in this post if you people are unhappy. All of the Muslims together, because they knew his justice, they knew the upright character of this person, they all stood up and said, we want you as Khalifa, they said in one voice. The first quality which made him such a great leader was taqwa. The consciousness of Allah Azza wa Jal, piety, obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal. Number two, distancing himself from the attractions of this world. This did not mean he went into a cave and just sat there and meditated. No. He was social. He went with people, he led people, but he divorced this world. He divorced the attractions of this world. He did not want any of it. He was also very, very humble. Also, he was a person of mercy and forgiveness. In fact, one night, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiallahu anhu went out to go to the masjid. And whilst he was going to the masjid, a person was sleeping. And he tripped over that person. And this person, he woke up and he said, hey, are you crazy? What are you doing? And the bodyguard of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, he said, just give me the order. But Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz said, no need to do this. The only thing that he asked me was, are you crazy? So why should I get angry at him for this? So Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz let him be, and he went to the masjid. Also, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz was very patient and very resolute and very decisive. When his death approached, when he was terminally ill, Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz radiallahu anhu wanted to be left alone. But his wife, Fatima radiallahu anha, would say that he would hear Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz reciting this verse, that this abode of the akhirah is for those people who do not do injustice or who do not spread mischief and discord in this world. A good end and a good consequence is for those people who have taqwa. Until he passed away on Friday in the year 101 after Hijri. According to some narrations, he left about 19 dirhams. Now he had 12 to 14 children, and he left so little for them. He was asked by his slave, Mazahim, that you haven't left anything for your children. Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala said, if my children are pious, me leaving them with nothing except Allah Azza wa Jal, they will be happy with it. And if they are not pious, then me leaving them with a lot of wealth, it will take them further away from Allah Azza wa Jal, so it will be bad for them. So I leave them with Allah. And subhanallah, he left a very insignificant amount for his children, yet one of his children, after a few years of passing of Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz, he donated 100 horses in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is how quickly Allah Azza wa Jal multiplied that insignificant wealth that Umar ibn Abd al-Aziz left for his offspring. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله فاستغفروه إنه